back, buds, to another episode of The Fresh Five, the show where I talk about five things, flesh and blood, in 5 or so minutes, just because I want to. It's been a while since my last episode, but I've been moving, and as you can see, I'm in a new, humble abode, the Casa de Fresca, House of Fresh, and I thought, what a better way to kick off the return of the Fresh Five with an episode about talents. And I'm not just talking about mine, I'm talking about flesh and blood talents. If you don't know what flesh and blood talents are, they are the subtypes that you get in the game. You might know them best as Light and Shadow from Monarch, or the Elemental Cycle from Tales of Aria, Lightning, Earth, and Ice. So today I'm going to talk about five talents that I would like to see in the game, and also I think might have a good shot of coming into the game. And without further ado, we're going to start off with number one. We're going to talk about Fire slash Drakai or Draconic. So I had Dead Summer Art, who has a great YouTube channel, on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and we kind of talked about Volcor a lot. And he had brought up that we might see Drakai slash Fire. As you have noticed probably in Tales of Aria, we had three elements, and fire is a common element to us, and it was missing. And we already know that Kano has a lot of fire themed cards, so you kind of get this Kano Drakai kind of thing going on. So we could see some of that come into play on Volcor, which we might even see this next set. I think a lot of people are thinking that, myself included. You have a lot of cool design space to kind of not only introduce arcane damage to some other heroes, but also with the introduction of that, you can come up with new ways to deal with arcane in the design space, which would be really neat. Number two is one that could be probably taken as close to Shadow, but I think Necrotic is an awesome talent that you can really introduce. So, like with Shadow, with Levia and Chain, you kind of get this Banish Zone design space explored, but I think with Necrotic, you can kind of add that to heroes that will start to use their graveyard instead, not just graveyard and banish zone, or graveyard to banish zone. So that would be pretty neat. For example, if we got like a Necrotic Illusionist, you kind of banish a card from your graveyard to make an aura or something like that. Which would be really sweet. And it doesn't necessarily have to have blood debt either. You can even have some other kind of mechanic on cards that almost punish you for keeping those cards in the graveyard, though that might be a little bit too close to blood debt. Number three is blood, which is already one of the names of the game, Flesh and Blood. But I think blood is a really great way to kind of introduce a talent that rewards damage being dealt or dealt to you. I think there is definitely some kind of token that can come from blood. Like if you were dealt damage, create a blood token, and then the blood heroes kind of use those blood tokens to their advantage in a way. Almost making them stronger as they lose life, which would be kind of neat to see. Definitely kind of thinking brute here. And maybe even some kind of Guardian play, though we don't need another Guardian right now. I think we're good on Guardian for a while. Number four is Gilded. This one is a bit of a stretch. This is what I'm thinking, some kind of merchant kind of talent where you kind of get bonuses for having items. You can see kind of like a Gilded Mechanologist come into play. This would be a really great way to introduce the gold tokens to the game. We've had the copper and the silver, and we all know gold is coming because has been mentioned on many different cards, like cash in and cash out, I think. And so once we get those, that is a good chance to introduce Gilded, maybe some kind of currency based hero that can also be outside of a merchant. It's a bit of a stretch. This one is probably the most stretchiest of my suggestions here. But LSS, you do what you want with what I got, what I'm putting out there. But that brings us to number five. Number five is probably a very likely design space to be explored with talents coming in probably not the near future, but the distant future, hybrid talents. So, we'll see Shadow Ice Ninja or something like that, or Earth Light Brute, something along those lines. It allows LSS to kind of print cards for new heroes in those talents that also support other talented heroes from previous sets. I think it'd be pretty sweet, and a lot of these talents kind of go together, right? I said at first the Ice Shadow Ninja. I mean that sounds like probably the coolest thing ever, and we will have to see if LSS gets this together for us. So those are five talents that I hope that we get, and I think some are likely, some more than others. And this has been another episode of the Fresh Five. Please like, comment, subscribe. Check out the podcast, which is available on all platforms. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me. Everything is in the link tree below. And yeah, also leave a comment on what five things you'd like me to talk about in future episodes. And yeah, everybody, have a great week.